good reasons. Today we're going to cover two, and we're going to give you something that's going to fill in the gap on what the other three may be that may help you. So this is my lovely photograph. My name is Mike Johnson. I've been around AvidXchange for 4 years. I have had the opportunity in my career, a long one, to be in many different sales roles, management roles. I ran a business. I was an entrepreneur. I worked for startup companies. I've been around AvidXchange for the last 4 years, and it resonates well with me because in my business, when I was running it, I was a general manager. I direct the check responsibility. So I encompass all aspects of the business, from AP to hiring to training to new technology to hiring to dealing with vendors, AR, so all aspects of the financial process. Unfortunately, I'm not a CPA or an accountant by trade, so somebody felt enough encouragement in my ability to do that I learned a lot about what you folks are dealing with day in and day out. So I appreciate your time today, and so let's jump into this topic of why you should automate, but it might be important today to really first start with a little bit of grounding. So what is AP automation? When I say that to people, I talk to CFOs, controllers, financial managers all day long, and they tell me, you know, when I mentioned AP automation, it can mean lots of things to different people. We here at AvidXchange have been in this space for 17 years. We were founded by Mike Prager, our CEO. We're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. All of our services and support are done there. We've got over 6,000 clients. And from those 6,000 clients, they've helped us really put some wrapper or definition about what is AP automation. So let's take a look at it. So well, what is it? So this is what it is. So everything you see here that's grayed out or has our lovely X logo over it is being replaced by software and service. That's right. We're software as a service, or SaaS as they call it in the business. So what that means to you is there's no hardware or software that you need to procure in order to access AP data. We simply build an AP portal for you in 45 days or less. You control that portal. You control who has access, what they can see, and what they can do when they're in your portal. So it locks down that control, visibility, gives you that audit trail because everything is now captured electronically. So we'll receive the invoice, we'll scan it, we'll present it to workflow. That takes you out of the biz of opening mail or downloading emails, getting a hard copy. If you're working with a purchase order system, we can help sync that purchase order to the invoice so that the invoice and the PO can be side by side for your visual match. Then we route that, you know, automatically. So we help you build workflows that are based on certain associations, departments, entities, codes will trigger workflows. So automatically routed out to those people by the simple click of a button, meaning approve. So once it's in your system, you're in charge of coding because you know your accounting system better than any third party would ever. So you can code the invoice, but we do apply some technology there in the forms of auto coding are frequently used, and then you're approving it. And the approval is not a stamp, a signature, or a sticky note, a handwritten note, or an email or voicemail. It's really just hitting the approve button. And then once it comes back to finance for the final review, because that's the way people typically like it, finance does their final review, and when they hit the approve button, our system will pass the fully coded approved invoice information into your accounting system. And once it's there, you do what you normally do. Hey, we've got invoices, let's pay some vendors. In most instances, that kind of results as a weekly phenomenon or bi-weekly, depending on your volumes, where you get ready to process payments to your vendor. And yes, that world's changing rapidly, so we have customers that are leveraging their own bank ACH, doing wires, using the boss's credit card. All those things come into play, but we offer a solution here that simply stands on the principle that we will help you facilitate payments to your vendors the way the vendors want to be paid. Yep, and that includes either a paper check or two forms of electronic payment. The good news on the electronic payment is a vendor opts into that. That results in a monthly rebate back to you, the customer, for simply sending us the payment file. And then what we do there is we provide the vendor a ton of services. We have a vendor portal. We supply them remittance detail. We call them. We help them process the payment, manage that process. We even have a vendor, we'll call a vendor portal. We call it a cash flow manager portal for vendors where they can sign up for free and see statuses of the invoices they've sent to you, and see what money's outstanding, see where the invoices are. And because it's all started electronically with the capture of the invoice, it's stored electronically, so you have access to it 24/7. And good news here, folks, is that we're built or scaled for mobile technology. And who today on the phone isn't driving their life through their phone today, right? Whether you're a Gen Xer or a millennial, we live with these super little computers in our pockets. We mislabel them as phones. They're really computers. And we do online banking, we pay bills, and yet we come to work and we deal with paper invoices and checks. So make your AP process. So number one that came up on the poll when we surveyed our customers was we're growing. You know, who isn't trying to grow their business or who isn't growing? We here at AvidXchange have, since I've been here, have gone from a little under 300 employees to close to 1,000 in less than 3 years. That's phenomenal growth. It's being backed and fueled by investors, rounds of funding, things of that nature. So we're scaling. You're probably scaling too. So what happens when your business grows? You acquire different entities. You go out and grow, whether it's through acquisitions or organically, and how do you manage that influx of new AP stuff, invoices and payments? Well, the old school was to hire people. Well, it's hard to find those people today because most of the people coming out of college are highly skilled, highly trained, or they think they are, and so they want to apply those principles that they learned in school to be the CFO, not the AP person. So we've got a conundrum here. We've got growth, but how do we manage it without adding headcount or even finding headcount? So if your volumes increase and your business is growing rapidly, technology is there to really help you offset that rapid growth. That's the good news. You're growing and you can apply technology, a simple technology that integrates with your accounting system that's really mirrors your current process and a low to no change. Everything's now electronic as opposed to in the paper. So what happens when you start receiving all this invoice information and payments? How do you currently handle it? So most of our clients that I speak to, because when I get on the phone with them and they say, hey, we'd like to learn more, I usually ask why, you know, what's going on? You know, your AP process has probably been the same as it always has been, and you probably think it's not broken, so why fix it now? And this is kind of the number one reason. We're starting to grow, or we want to grow. We just can't seem to find people, or we don't want to apply people to this type of work. We want to apply them to a better related taxing job for their mental perception to handle the business. Number two is your organization's been a victim of fraud. Yep, it's one of the dirty little secrets in the U.S. business economy. We still rely on paper checks, right? You know, paper checks are the most common form of fraud that we see out in the industry today. What that means is that we're trusting our employees and we're trusting our vendors not to fraud our paper checks. In fact, current studies, it's an interesting one I just saw this year. Last year was about 50% of all B2B payments related to paper checks. That's pretty significant. Well, this year it's actually gone up for some reason, and nobody can seem to figure out why. It's like 52%. So in our work experience, we're providing paper checks at least half the time to our vendors, and then we're using a whole host of other ways to pay them. That leaves us exposed to fraud. There's some great stories out there. Just Google check fraud. Look at some creative ones where companies have been frauded in millions of dollars. My favorite one was a guy down in Texas who was working, who sent a letter to AP saying, hey, our addresses, our banking information has changed. The vendor, the company said, sure, we got it. They were busy, the AP person was, updated the information. They started sending money to the new bank. The vendor eventually called and said, hey, we're not getting paid. Well, that equated to about $3 million that by the time they caught it, had gone to this guy's bank account. And you know, the problem there is once it's left the hen house, it's hard to get it back in. So it's a real struggle for victims of fraud. How do you manage that? So you need to get out of paper fraud, out of paper checks, which leave you exposed to fraud. We here at Avid, as I mentioned, facilitate payments via paper check because there are still vendors that want it, but we offer electronic payments. We're so good at it that companies like MasterCard, Key Bank, others, venture capital firms are investing in us because we have a great story to share with vendors, and we help them through that process. So we're helping them migrate. We're transforming the way businesses pay their vendors by offering services to the vendor to make it easy for them to make their decision. Because at the end of the day, what do they want, folks? They want their money in their bank account. So one of the second top sign is fraud. It's around. I mean, I've got friends who have businesses that have been frauded by trusted bookkeepers of 25 years or more. So if you've been the victim of fraud, the automation that we apply, utilizing or leveraging the AvidXchange solution really enforces rules, a business process, it's visibility. People can see it, people can approve it, people can visualize it. All the information in front of you, every invoice is scrutinized for legitimacy. Every check that, or every payment that we produce has fraud control. We can guarantee 100% fraud, but ACH file. If your bank's getting you to produce a positive file, that's work. We can help eliminate that. Everything we do here at AvidXchange, whether it's through invoice or payment, ultimately hits the bottom line in terms of time. Time back to your staff to focus on other things to help you grow that business, help to protect your business, help you to really leverage your employee's skill set as opposed to managing paper through a process. So we reduce that exposure to fraud and help you become not a victim, but free of concern about fraud. So that was number 2 on the list. What we'd like to do is offer, because of time, we said 15 minutes, we're going to unlock the other signs with a free ebook. So here, we're going to get a copy of this recording sent to you in the presentation. Then when you send that, when you get the ebook, you'll see the other 3 signs that our customers shared with us on the reasons that they chose to automate or the benefits of it. Let's talk a little bit about end-to-end AP automation solution. What's it look like? So it starts with capture, as I mentioned. We collaborate with you and your vendors. If you're going to mail it, that's fine. If you're going to email it, that's fine. If you're going to scan it, you can do that. We'll receive it, extract it. We'll do a little bit of analysis here. We're going to launch the workflow. We're going to notify people in your organization that you direct to see the invoice for approval. What they're going to see is they're going to see their own queue. In that queue, in this case, it says Marie Cannon has 7 invoices pending her approval. So you can simply scroll through these. P.S. if you're interested in a more customized demo, Aaron and team would be happy to help you out in setting that up or coordinating. We're just going to give you a couple of screenshots here today based on some of the time constraints. So we've got this approval process. They can look at the invoice. They can see the invoice. You can do things. You can attach things. You can comment. You can see the workflow, the history, who touched it. You can do the coding and distributions. Apply your accounting codes here at the invoice level. That's going to pass into your accounting system as an open AP transaction. So you can pick your, and you can see the history tab. The history is that granular detail of when the invoice came in, how long it was in our system, who touched it, what they did with it. And then you can view all the way through your accounting system as you do today. You can process or facilitate payments leveraging your AvidPay solution. And what this is saying is this is your dashboard. You've sent your payment file along to AvidXchange, and it's saying that I'm processing 9 payments. Here they are. I can drill down to the invoice level, see what invoices are being reflected. I can see what payment option the vendor selected, whether it's that VCC, that's a virtual card, or the AvidPay check, which is a physical check, or we have our Avid network of vendors, which is over 350,000 vendors and growing. That's an ACH model. So you're seeing a visualization of all the transactions that are happening that you pass on to us in detail. The 9 payments, you can see the check number. We're capturing that from your accounting system, so reconciliation as you do it today. Your accounting system just thinks, hey, I sent a payment over. And then you've got really, you can see, all the different statuses of what's going on with the payment, when it was initiated, where it is in the process. You have that granular detail, that control visibility into the entire payment process, along with the history. So you can view all the history of the payments, what you've paid to the vendor in past, what invoices are being reflected. And good news here is that we actually pass back the check image that we've issued to the vendor. So you can answer that inquiry from a vendor who says, hey, thanks for the payment. Not that I don't trust you. Can I get a copy of the check? Yes, you can. So lots of services to your vendors that equate to service to you to answer any questions you may get on behalf of that vendor regarding that payment transaction. And then for the supplier, we give them that remittance. Time to stop. We've almost kept it to 15 minutes. So we got an audience poll. So I want to bring back Hannah, who's a marketing coordinator here at AvidXchange, working with the folks at Oasis. I'd like to launch that poll, Hannah.
Sure, I've launched the poll. You can see that on your screen now. The question is, what's your next step? So your options are, I want to see a personalized demo for Sage ERP. I want to see one for NetSuite. I just want more information about AvidXchange AP automation, or I'm just researching for now.
And researching is fine, folks, because I've found in 4 years of helping companies automate, it begins with research. You want to do your homework, you want to check, you want to find out what trends are, what's going on in the industry, what people are utilizing, because your accounting system is really unique to you, with no doubt about it. So researching, attending these events, collecting white papers, seeing demos will only get you better prepared when you get ready to automate, that you've done all your homeworks, you're cross the T's and dot the I's, so to say. So how's that poll coming?
We're at 80%, so we'll leave it open to capture the last couple of answers, but we already have our first question, Mike. So will we leave that open? Let's do the first question.
Yep.
So the question is, does your system also track scan invoice image with the check?
Does it also sorry, what was that question again?
Yeah. Does your system also track a scanned invoice image with the check?
Yes, it does. So from a history standpoint, or even at the invoice level, if we capture the invoice for you, we have a section that's called attachments, coding, history, and then there's a payment tab, and in that payment tab you can actually see the image of the check with the invoice. So you have that side by side, or actually they're in the same window view. It's a great question. Sorry, I misunderstood that. So, other questions that may have come up?
Yep, we had one more that just came through, and it's, what's the difference between this solution and the document management solution?
Document management is really a holistic approach to an organization that's got a quandary around all documents. It's not just AP. Sometimes I see people trying to apply document management and kind of shoehorn in an AP solution into doc management. Invoices are unique, and that's no bones about it. You've probably seen them yourself. They come in all shapes and sizes, all different conditions. Data and information is kind of almost free form. It's all over the page or pages, and that's really hard for a document management solution. So also some of the workflows that a document management solution offers aren't as robust as our finance customers need. So we get sometimes linked together, but often when we start pulling back the layers and saying, what are you trying to do? It's really, if it's a doc management solution, you're looking at things like HR documents, tech documents, repositories for images, maybe videos, things of that nature that people can access. AP is really unique to AP, and sometimes they try to put it in a doc management system and it just doesn't have all the kind of, not so much the bells and whistles, but the flexibility that you would need in a financial tool. Any other questions, Hannah?
Great, thanks. We have one more, and then we'll wait while he's answering this last one. Just make sure to throw it in the chat box. We won't close the session down until we've gotten through everyone's questions. The next one is, how long does this take to implement?
Yeah, that's, being at this for 17 years gives us kind of an edge to our process. So we've mapped this countless times over and over again. So once we execute agreement here with you at AvidXchange, we quickly mobilized, you're introduced to your project management team, the dedicated project manager, to a couple of implementation specialists that help your team get the data that we're going to need to build your portal, like your vendor information, your chart of accounts, things of that nature, help map some of the workflow that you have around your business, who's going to see what and when they see it and what they can do with it. And that all takes place in less than 45 days. So we actually have a guarantee around that. So, we can move quicker than 45 days, but we found that based on experience that, 45 days, calendar days, is fairly comfortable because, we all like to get there, but don't forget you got a business to run. So, there'll be a day where you'll delay an implementation call because guess what? You got some AP stuff that needs to be done, whether it's an audit or month end, quarter end, that's going to push something like this out. So 45 days is our guarantee, and we actually give you money back if you help us get you live in 45 days.
Perfect. And we do have one more question. Our POs are in our standalone ERP system. Can we store individual POs alongside our AP records?
Yeah, we have what we call AvidSync, and basically what we're looking for is a dependency. So you may be dependent on a third-party PO system like a key to act system or something of that nature, or you may be creating in your accounting system, Sage or NetSuite. And what we look to do is just to sync that PO and put it in the side-by-side comparison with your invoice. So when an invoice shows up for workflow, you'll see a link back to that PO so you can do that visual match. So and some people are saying, hey, can you do more than that? Today it's a visual match. We're in development of all sorts of line item and three-way matching capabilities that people in the manufacturing sector are really looking for. So good news, we can sync your PO today. Better news is we're coming out with enhanced functionality.
Great, thanks, Mike. And I don't see any more questions coming in. So I think we're good to go.
You'll get a copy of the recording. Don't forget to download the remaining reasons why it's time to it may be time to automate your AP process. Again, my name is Mike Johnson. So I appreciate Hannah and everybody at Oasis time in coordinating, putting this together. Been a great audience. Just one final thought. It really, when you're thinking of looking at AP automation, it's no longer a question of when or if, it's more of a question of when you'll automate, because it's going to happen. We're seeing rapid adoption, accelerated conversations, because folks are finally waking up going, this just doesn't make sense anymore. How can we take advantage of technology that we use in our own lives and bring it to the workforce? So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck on month and quarter end close for all you out there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Mike. Guys, this is Philana Callahan with Oasis Solutions. I just want to let you all know that you'll definitely be receiving a copy of the webinar recording. You should anticipate getting that sometime tomorrow morning. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a good evening.